Sarmiento News team watching the first semi-final match of IDB Challenge 2007. And our proposition is economic freedom more important than economic equality. And we have now come to the portion of interpellation. And each of our debaters will be given 3 minutes each to interpellate their opponents. And we will start with the first speaker of St. Scholastica's Academy, Ms. Vicky Dreyfus.
Okay. You mentioned something about economos, like being the root word of the word economics, which means the management of the household. But
no, I did not say that. Oikos meaning home and nomos meaning law. That's not management of the household.
Law of the home.
That is
the law of the home.
That is
okay. How can economic freedom ensure the management of the household?
What do you mean?
How can economic freedom actually exist in the home or ensure the management of the household?
You're talking about families. This is economics we're talking about, not families.
But isn't it that just answer the question?
What is the question?
How can economic freedom ensure the management of the household?
Freedom. Aren't you freeing your family?
Isn't it?
Aren't you feeding your family? I mean, look.
Yes, you are feeding your family, but isn't it already an equitable distribution?
I wasn't feeding my family.
Okay, just next question. You only mentioned about terms. What makes you really say that economic freedom is more important than economic equality?
As I stated for my speech, economic freedom has the capacity for an economy to grow. So is that possible in economic equality? I mean, look at what's happening now. Communism has fell. Communism has fell already.
We are not, however, pushing for communism. Okay, you only mentioned about.
But communism comes from the Marxist socialist ideology.
Okay,
and isn't that also economic freedom? I mean, economic equality.
I'm the one asking the question.
I'm trying to answer your question, but
okay. Next question. In what way can economic freedom actually help the poor?
Help the poor?
Yes.
Thank you, my dear opponent. That's a very good question. First of all, economic freedom, people have choices. People have opportunities. People have capacity. People have different hopes, dreams. The poor have dreams. The poor have dreams of being rich. I have dreams of being rich. In economic freedom, the poor are able to work for their initiative, able for their income.
How can the poor even dream of becoming rich if they don't have enough resources?
The poor dream of becoming rich, of course. Who doesn't dream of becoming rich?
How can
you need income.
How can they acquire income?
Exactly my point. You're just merely repeating. You're just making me repeat what I'm saying.
They don't have capital in the first place.
Then there is such thing as sago vendors. There is such thing as fishball vendors. They don't need big capital. It's not true that they don't have capital. Everyone has capital. That's why it's a good thing for it to be in economic freedom. It's a benefit. You have freedom to gain capital. You have freedom to get.
But how can you gain capital or even start the business if you don't have enough resources to start with?
You can work. You can work. First of all, there's isn't
it in working you're given a wage or like a salary?
Of course.
So that is basically the principle of economic equality, to give what is due to other people.
If that's a basic principle of economic equality, are you saying that in economic freedom there are no wages?
But simply
are there wages in economic freedom?
Of course there are, but
then what are you saying? Then why are you saying it's a basic
part of economic equality? You're giving what is due to other people.
Okay, now let's turn the floor now. Jonas, you may now ask the questions.
Do you think economic equality is beneficial for us?
Of course, I think it is.
Is it beneficial for all men to have the same goods, medicines,
don't understand
food as provided by the state? Listen to the question first. Is it beneficial for all men to have the same goods, medicine, food as provided by the state? Yes or no?
Okay, you mentioned about the same. Our point is that equality does not literally...
What does equality mean to you? I'm just merely asking you a question. You're straying far from the topic.
Yeah, that's why I'm explaining to you what equality means.
You cannot explain because I'm the one supposed to ask.
Okay.
So,
you're asking. I'm
is it beneficial for all men or women to have the same goods, medicine, food that's provided by the state? Yes or no?
Yes.
Then would you call it beneficial if one loses his or her freedom of choice in view of the government economic policy of equality?
Let me point out that there is no economic system in its pure form. For example, the Philippines. Take the Philippines as an example. It's a state capitalist. Like, you're saying that we are pushing for communism. Is that what you mean?
I did not say that. What I'm merely asking you, is it beneficial for someone to lose his freedom? It's beneficial for someone to lose his freedom of choice? I do not think so. You're exercising your freedom of choice right now. Is that beneficial to you if you don't have freedom of choice in a debate or in an economy?
Yes,
it's beneficial.
How can you exercise?
How can you
exercise your freedom if your needs are not even met?
Do we have equal needs?
What do you mean by equal needs?
Do we have equal needs?
What do you mean?
Equal needs.
Equal in the sense
equal
that...
needs. People needs. I'm just very equal as a term.
Yes, you need
Equal as a
food,
term.
clothing, food, shelter.
If we have equal needs, then how come I don't wear girl clothes?
I guess it's not actually.
Then are you aware that it is the Marxist socialist ideology that advocates economic equality?
Like, I am aware of that fact.
Okay, thank
but
you.
Then,
Do you believe then that given the trend of globalization, equitability and not equality is what we mean?
like, that's what we are trying to point here. Equality.
If that is what you're trying to point out,
distribution of wealth.
then meaning you're not for economic equality. What are you for?
Let me give you an example, okay? A single man and a man with 3 kids and his wife. Okay, you give the single man only like, for example, 1 peso. And then you give the man with 3 children and his wife, since there are like 5 in the family, you give them 5 pesos. Because if you take it into an individual context, then
exactly my point, my dear opponent. That's why economic equality cannot exist. Because look,
Then why are we debating?
it cannot exist because look, first of all,
Inequality
first
does
of
not
all,
exist,
that
then why are we debating?
I'm sorry. First of all, the economic. What you're telling is economic freedom to each
no,
his
it's
own.
not economic freedom. It's
Of
economic
course,
equality.
how can it be equal? It's 1 peso and 5 pesos. That's
No,
not equal.
yeah,
1
you
is not
let
equal
me
to
finish
5.
first because you did not let me finish. Okay, but okay, they need 1 peso. Okay, but in the end, their needs get satisfied. Are then they equal?
Are you aware of the emergence of free market economies bolstering one's nation per capita?
Okay, you can go back to that later during the pre-debate.